Hey hotties, how you healing? How you feeling? I'm Zenzi, and this is Hotties Heal. In my last video, I talked about the void and how it's important to go into the void and into the darkness, or at least actually the first step would be acknowledging that it's there, if it is there. I'm not going to speculate about what's going on with anyone. I can only speak from my own experience, but anyway, I'm tangenting. Acknowledging that the void is there and how to work with it. So I want to dig a little deeper into that and talk about the shadow. And when I speak about the shadow, obviously I'm talking about our shadow selves. You know, like we all have a shadow self. We all have aspects of ourselves that we may not love, but the important thing to note is that the shadow is actually a very healing element of the self. There's medicine in the shadow. And I got that phrase from a book I was reading, which has a lot of exercises if anyone's interested. It's called the Moon Goddess Deck, and it has cards and there are exercises you can do. It's targeted for women or people who function mostly in their feminine energy, but I'm sure anyone can use it. But it is targeted more towards women. But they were talking about how the shadow self has medicine, and I think that that's a really true statement. The medicine of our shadow helps us to tap deeply into our intuition, which can lead to a stronger development of empathy and grants us the opportunity to turn weakness into strength. And what I mean by this is when we're becoming more comfortable with those undesirable aspects of ourselves, it takes away that element of fear that's connected to it, or shame potentially, and allows us to be more compassionate with ourselves. And the more that you become comfortable with the shadow aspects of yourself, the lighter you actually become. And as you continue to share that light, it's important to stay connected to your shadow. That way you'll learn to cultivate compassion and understanding for every shade of yourself. Oftentimes when we're operating from a place of fear and we just feel like everything is going wrong in life, it's often because, and I'm just going to speak from personal experience, it's often because we're trying to control everyone else. And it's so crazy how focusing so much on what everyone else is doing, thinking, feeling, or what they're not doing, thinking, and feeling can rob you of so much peace. This is why the let them theory is so great. And for those of you who don't know what the let them theory is, the let them theory is exactly what it sounds like. Whether someone is doing something shady or weird or strange or not measuring up to what you want them to do, let them. You can't control it. It's none of your business. It's the shadow aspect of you that will take this personally and make you feel like there's something that you can do about it, or make you feel like it's because of you that it's happening. But in reality, everyone is just functioning from their own place and their own wheelhouse of strengths or weaknesses, and there's nothing you could do about it, so just let them. When it comes to letting people do what they do and be who they want to be, I'm a big proponent in that. But when it comes to certain behaviors, you know, you have to decide whether or not someone is actually worth having in your life. It's important that whatever relationship you decide to have with the people that you're letting behave in the ways that they are, whether it be good or bad, I'm not saying this, I'm not defining anyone's behavior. I'm just saying that in order to maintain a sense of inner peace, you have to let people be who they are and accept that the way that they're treating you or navigating a situation likely has more to do with them than you. Where it reflects on you is how you decide to deal with it. And if it's something that you're able to deal with, if it's something that aligns with who you are as a person. But regardless of that, one of the most important things that you can do, other than working with your shadow, is forgiving. The shadow forms from, in my opinion, everything that I say is just going to be my opinion, okay? I feel like I don't need to preface that, but the shadow is formed from past hurt and trauma. We develop these darker aspects of ourselves and we harbor these negative emotions and feelings because of bad things that happened to us. But I'm a believer that our deepest hurts and challenges can be our greatest gifts. And before you're like, oh my God, what the heck are you talking about? Like, whatever happened to me was horrible and I could have done without it. Fair. I'm not, trying to discredit your struggle and your pain. I don't know what you've been through, but I've been through some things. And I think that in the darkness, only in darkness light can be born. Light and dark do not exist without the other. So when you're able to go into the darkness and find the light, that is a huge strength. Forgiveness and acceptance can be the doorway to great insight, growth, and compassion if you allow it to be. When you forgive, whether it be to yourself or others, you're saying yes to life and you're opening yourself up to more positive alignment. And when you're saying no to the harboring of negativity and suffering, you're taking full responsibility for how you feel and you're cleaning up the disharmony from within, which allows love and acceptance to prevail. Surrendering control allows you to let go of blame and allows you to surrender to the teachings that the negativity and hardship are trying to help you to move beyond. Now, I've definitely talked about forgiveness before. I think it's a practice. It's not something that I think can be easily done at times, especially when people and situations have unrightfully wronged you and hurt you. But the thing about pain is, even if it's done onto us by others, it's still ours to deal with. And I actually have read the book The Untethered Soul, and I think anyone who maybe struggles with ruminating and struggling to move on and let go could benefit from reading this. But it talks about how oftentimes when we experience pain and hurt, we then live our lives trying to prevent that from happening. But by trying to prevent that, we're blocking the flow and we're not actually releasing that pain and that hurt. So it's just being stored in our bodies. Practicing forgiveness is such a useful technique, not for the other person, but for yourself, because harboring that resentment, that pain, that fear, that hurt is only poisoning your own self. It's so comical to me that forgiveness and love are honestly the solutions to probably all the world's problems. Realistically, if we just boiled it down, that would be the solution. But it's just so hard for people to do because, and it's not life that's beaten people down, realistically. It's other people. Hurt people hurt people. So in order to stop experiencing pain and hurt, the best thing that you can do is heal yourself, because even if other people hurt you, you will spend your life consciously or subconsciously trying to avoid being hurt again, which is only closing you off and blocking you from the flow of life. We are not meant to control and try to avoid pain and be afraid of life. The universe, God, source, whatever you believe in, always wants to see us win. It is our frequency and our vibration that attracts certain things into our life. And when we're operating from a place of fear, we're only going to attract more things that match that energy. And I'm not saying like anyone deserves for bad things to happen to them, but the goal in life is to keep your heart space open. Unblock that heart chakra, baby. Since I'm telling you, like, forgive, unblock, work with your shadow, I'm sure maybe some people are like, okay, but how? And, you know, I can only preach and talk about the things that work for me, but it's going to be a case by case situation. Like 2 + 2 = 4, but A plus B doesn't always equal 4, you know what I mean? I don't know if that really makes sense, but what works for person A might not necessarily work for person B. I'm a very like creative person, so a good way for me to open up my heart chakra and to practice forgiveness and healing is to pour myself into things that make my heart happy. I like doing art projects and dancing, journaling. These are all great things to help you to release stored energy and be completely present with yourself. So one thing that I've been working on is I just obtained this really nice, decently sized mirror, and I'm going to write my name on it and the meaning of my name, along with a bunch of I am statements, because it's an empowering way for me to just get connected with myself and do something uplifting for myself. If you're not a creative person, say your I ams in the mirror without writing anything down. You know, it's so important just to hype yourself up and tell yourself nice things and speak life and love into yourself, because if you can't do that for yourself, then who the heck is going to do it for you? Literally no one. And even if someone is saying it to you or doing it for you, the likelihood that you believe them is probably slim because you haven't connected to that part of yourself. I've said it a million times and I'll say it a million times more. Love yourself, babes. Yeah, I mean, easier said than done, I'm sure, but it's something that you gotta practice. Anything in life really takes some practice, takes some consistency in order to implement it into your life and make it second nature. Very few things for the average person are just picked up on the first try. Just like going to the gym and getting that body right, you have to do the same thing with your mind. I'm sure everyone knows and people have said your mind is a muscle, and our mind is consistently setting the tone for how we're living our life. Is your mind saying kind things to you, or is your mind saying unkind things to you? And oftentimes people don't want to acknowledge their shadow, and they think that if they just keep busy that it can stay on the back burner. But the thing is, the shadow wants to be acknowledged. The shadow wants to connect with you, and the shadow wants to teach you things about yourself so that you can grow and be a better person. Love yourself, love all aspects of yourself. Never give up on yourself, and know that whatever you're feeling, it's normal, it's okay, and that you're doing great, sweetie. So if you made it to the end of this video, I love you. I think you're freaking awesome. Thank you for being here with me, and go Steelers. Other than that, here's Moo. He was sitting on my lap the whole time. He wanted to be a part of the video. Mwah. We love you guys. Bye. See you next time.